They say that you shouldn't get into business with your friends, but what if one of your colleagues, someone that you employ, actually becomes one of your best mates? What do you do then? Well, let's find out in today's episode of Commercial Real Estate Leadership. Hello and welcome to episode 186 of Commercial Real Estate Leadership. I'm your host, Darren Krakowiak, and if you are a commercial real estate principal, my work here is to help you to get your business growing faster. We want you to have more time for what matters in your life. We want you to be able to serve your clients to the best of your ability, to deliver more value, and ultimately to have a business that just keeps on growing. And two gentlemen that I currently am very proud to call clients, Andrew Bozza and also Rocco Tripodi of Belle Property Commercial Inner West in Sydney in New South Wales. They are our special guests today. Before I introduce Andrew and Rocco, I just do want to quickly mention that you should go and visit our Instagram page. It's at CRE Success, all one word. And if you send me the word grow, that will tell me that you are interested in finding out more about how you can get your business moving in a similar direction to what our special guests have done over the past year that we've been working together. So visit our Instagram page. It's at CRE Success. DM me the word grow and we can get started. All right, let's get into our interview now with Andrew and Rocco. Rocco Tripodi and Andrew Bozza of Belle Property Commercial Inner West. Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Leadership.
Thank you, Darren.
How you going?
I'm doing great. So happy you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here. I want to talk to you about a few things. One is about this relationship that you have outside and inside work. I want to explore that a bit. I've got a few questions for you, Rock, a few for Andrew specifically, and then I want to talk about your experience of working with CRE Success over the past 12 months. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
No problem.
All right. Well, let's talk about this relationship you guys have. Very close mates outside of work. In fact, you just got back from traveling with your families in Europe, which in itself is a story and a question, I think, given the amount of time that you spent in Europe. I want to explore that. But you've got a fantastic working relationship. What's the history? How do you guys actually know each other?
Well, we actually met through work. So Andrew started working for me, 9 years ago?
It's coming up to 10, I think.
Coming up to 10?
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess through business. So we've done it probably the opposite way that most people would become partners or meet.
It's probably why it's worked.
Yeah. So yeah, look, so we met through the business.
Okay.
And from that, definitely developed a really close friendship outside of business as well, which, yeah, makes it interesting at times.
I killed the first job interview. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I assume that you guys had been mates since high school or primary school or something, just because of how the excellent relationship that you have. So that's news to me. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Now, Rock, you're the real estate guy. Andrew, how did you actually get on board? Like what led to you actually getting to that interview and acing it?
My background being in manufacturing and being involved with family business prior to this, I went back to study. I had a very good friend of mine, a mentor of mine, who was a former MD CEO of one of the major firms. And everyone calls me Boz. So by the end of this interview, Boz will call me Boz. I said, Boz, he goes, I really think you'd be suited for commercial real estate. Why don't you explore getting into the industry? I had previous experience with family, with commercial property, probably on the other side of the table. And this gentleman made the introduction. I met Rocco, I went for a job interview, and I guess the rest is what they call history.
Hey. And you recently, Boz, came on as a partner, as a director in the business. So given that by the time you came on into that role, you were very good mates, did you have to set any expectations in terms of how that would work, any ground rules, or was there just implicit trust there that you'd be able to deal with any conflicts or disagreements as mates as opposed to it blowing up the whole thing?
Look, from day dot, I've always had a respect for the fact that Rocco started the business. Rocco has put a lot of time and effort to get to where we are today, and I've always respected that. When I walk in the doors into the office, it's a business relationship and it's a work relationship. And that's how it's always been. There's always been that respect for the fact that it's Rock's. Rock started it, it's Rock's business. And that's how I've always, every day when I come in here, the friendship stays at the door. It might kick one at lunchtime or whatever it may be, but when it's work, it's work.
What was it like for you, Rock, to bring on a business partner after, 8 or 9 years of it being your own baby?
Yeah. Well, it's been 2 years since he's been a partner, but yeah, so honestly, it wasn't a hard decision to make. So I think putting his work ethic aside, just the way he came in and treated it like his own, or has treated it like his own pretty much from day one, sort of set him apart from anyone that I've ever employed previously in that field anyway, in that sales and leasing side. But I guess the big, confirmation for myself was sort of through COVID and the last few years that have been difficult, and the way he's handled himself and taken roles outside of his scope of work or his line of work or his normal day-to-day duties to assist and help when he didn't have to, I think was, just spoke in volume on its own. So I've got a lot of people that I look up to and I talk to on the side that are pretty large business owners, and they all say the same thing. Don't take on a business partner unless you're sure or 100% sure, and you'll always know. And when we discussed it at the time, it just felt natural, and it still is today. So we both are opinionated and voice our own opinions, but we're straight with each other. So I think that's, having pure honesty, regardless of how you may think they will react or feel. I think that's the key to success, right? So it's just being completely honest and true to each other, and yeah, we've both got the same common goal, which is to be successful and grow and take it to a next level. And you can't do that unless you have that embedded within you as well, I think, as a relationship, business relationship. So
Yeah, 100%. That's great. You mentioned growth. Your business is on quite a growth path now, and you're very keen to grow it more. What's been the biggest shift in your thinking that's been required to make the moves that have set the foundation for this growth that you've already experienced and the growth that you're planning for over the next 12 months?
look, obviously, I think anyone in business, if you're not wanting to grow or thinking outside of how you can do things better, you probably shouldn't be in business. But I think the penny sort of really dropped the last few years when we've sort of grown quite substantially organically coming out of COVID, specifically in our rent roll. More so when we talk about the growth side of things, which is substantially expanded over the last couple of years and continues to do so through our most recent acquisition that took place. But yeah, I guess it's more, look, the goal is we want to be as good as we can and enjoy it with a good team around us, and setting your sights on where you can take something, I think, is the ultimate goal and tests as a business owner. It's not about being the biggest, but I think it's sort of pushing the boundaries to have grown where we are today organically. I think it's a large feat in its own, to now, with the plans that we've got ahead and the projections that we're putting in place to achieve those, is exciting. So the passion's there, still there. So, we're only young, 40, 43. So I think there's still a long way to go. And it's still burning inside me to grow. So I want to see where we can take it and doing it the right way, and see where we land, and maybe look back in 10 or 20 years and say, this is what we've done together. I think it's probably my biggest motivation. It's not about, everyone obviously wants to make money, but I think, it's more about, well, where can we get to? Yeah, where can we take it? I think that's probably more what drives me, and I know he shares the same values. So
you don't want to be 10 years from now saying, oh, if we only did this, or if we only did that, we could have done this and you could have done that.
Yeah.
You just want to do it and see how far you actually can take it.
I think one of the tests of a robustness of a business is also the ability to step away for a moment. And you recently both scheduled a month-long trip to Europe for a wedding and some holidays with the family. Had you ever stepped away, and this is probably more for Rock at this question, have you ever stepped away for that long before from the business? And how do you think it went for you? What were your reflections on how it went?
No, the answer is never. Look, I think it's probably the best thing that I've ever done, is stepping away and taking the time. And I think the only reason why we were able to do that, or I was able to do that as well, was what has been implemented in the business the last few years through what we've done together to know and move to say that, it's in good hands. Obviously, if there's any emergencies, we're on the phone if needed, but there wasn't. And that's obviously always a fear factor as a business owner, stepping away where you're seeing the daily drive of what goes on in there. But it was actually refreshing to not have to, I guess, be there for a month or 5 weeks, I think it was. So, but yeah.
How did you go, Boz, with stepping away from the business for that period?
Look, business is responsibility no matter what, right? So you've always got it at the back of your head. We stepped away, but I guess we can also attribute a lot of it to our success to our partners and families, because they allow us to say, all right, guys, you can do an hour or two of work in the morning when we're asleep. So it's only running a business, and running and owning a business is responsibility. So we switched off, but we were still there and we still had to do what we had to do. So, that's one part of it. But we were happy to step away. It was pretty comfortable to do so. And again, it goes down to decisions that have been made over the last 12 and 24 months in terms of staffing, systems, processes. If they weren't in place, then we probably wouldn't have went, to be honest. Yeah.
Rock, just a couple of questions for you about real estate running through the blood. Your brother has a resi business?
Yes, he does. Yeah.
And then you opened, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, he's probably the reason why I got into real estate. So it's been 24 years now. So older brother. So what
It's on record now, huh? It's on record now.
Yeah, sorry, I just scratched that one out. No, yeah. So obviously my older brother, Anthony, was definitely the reason why I got into business. I got into real estate, seeing him do it. And then, yeah, so he started his own business, 15 or 16 years ago with Belle. And I went over there to, I guess, do and start a commercial division out of his office, which then led me to opening Belle's first commercial, or being Belle's first commercial franchisee through the network. But yeah, real estate, is attributed to, obviously, my older brother's was the first one into it.
And I don't know if your old man was in real estate specifically, but a couple of things that your stories that you've told me about in the time that we've been working together. I know that he's had an influence on the way that you see things and the way that you go about business. I'm thinking about one particular story where you told me that you were interviewing a young lad at 7 a.m. and you turned up at 6:30 because your dad had told you that you've got to be there early and you want to sort of scope the place out. And just tell me a little bit of the rationale behind that.
Look, that's probably made me keep things very simple in life, where hard work pays off. And specifically, like, since we've been running the business, leading by example and getting in and being the driving force, being the person that sets the example, the fact that you are an owner of the business or owner of the business. So yeah, he's always an early riser and always kicked us out of bed if we needed to. But at the same time, really instilled those family hard work ethic and goal orientated, I guess, is what simply drives me today and continues to drive me, which I try to instill in my children as well. But yeah, he definitely has simplified what a lot of people, I think, overthink or try to overcomplicate in terms of reasons to success. It's all contributes to hard work and doing it day in, day out, regardless of how you feel, and getting up each day and leading by example. So it's, not rocket science.
I think goes back to the first question. It says, why does it work? Because we both had the same things instilled in us from parents or grandparents. So there's no secret sauce. It's just hard work.
Yeah.
So Andrew, you're an operations engineering sort of business strategy guy. What were your core strengths to bring to the business, and how can you apply those in a commercial real estate agency environment?
Well, I was looking at your email that you sent through, and I was thinking about this question. Yeah, come from a manufacturing background, operations, process engineering. You can bring everything and nothing. So for me, engineering is just problem solving. Yeah. And everything that we do is solving a problem. in work. That's how I've been brought up, and that's how I went through life, because it's solving a problem. So putting a process and procedure together is to solve a problem. It might not be a big problem, but it's still a problem. So to go back to your question, I see everything as a process. It doesn't matter if you're selling a property, leasing a property, managing a property, collecting arrears, it's still just a process. And the ultimate aim is you're never going to reach perfection, but you always want continuous improvement. So I'll look at something and say, yeah, we did it, but can you do it better? Can you do it more efficient? Is there technology? Is there outsourcing? Is there anything that we can do within this process that the next time it becomes streamlined, because we'll be able to better service the client, improve the margins in the business, and everything else. So whether I'm making a widget or I'm making an automotive component part, because that's what I used to do, I'm going to try and, deliver a lease to somebody or upload a lease within the system. I want to be able to do it in the quickest, most efficient amount of time, because I'm going to get it in there, get the client paid, get them their money as quick as I can. At the same time, the less time I spend doing it is better returns for the business. That's pretty much what I've brought from engineering into commercial real estate.
Okay, awesome. And I was going to ask you if there's anything you had to let go of from your manufacturing days to be successful in commercial real estate. Because commercial real estate, it's process is important, but it's a relationship business. And can you process a relationship, or what's something maybe that you've had to leave behind from your manufacturing days?
In terms of day-to-day work, yes, they're completely different to what you have to do. What I've left behind from my manufacturing days is probably what not to do. And when I say that is, I work for family, and yes, this is still a family business. Or Rock started, it's a family business, and it's sort of the same thing. I got taught a lot of things by my grandfather, and 90% of the things that he taught me was right. And the 10 things that he taught me that were wrong is the best piece of advice he gave me. So I've left probably the 90% of things that he taught me that was right back there, and took 10% things I wouldn't do it his way and brought it here. Does that make sense to you?
I'm processing that. So it sounds like the 10% of things that he taught you were the soft skills that could actually help you be successful in commercial real estate. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, how to manage people, how to deal with clients, how to deal with customers. Like I said to you, migrants, Second World War, and a lot of things that they did was very, I'm doing it my way and there's no other way. They don't care what the client thinks. I'm doing it this way. No, you can't have that approach. That's what I've left behind.
Okay. All right. Got it.
I've left a lot better soft skills here. And that's what I've had to adapt is you've got relationships. You have to nurture those relationships. You're here to service those clients.
You're not in the factory.
I'm not on the workshop, I'm not on the production line. So you have to watch what you say and watch what you do, right? But it's going back, all my ability to create relationships was for the fact that when I started work, I was given a mop and bucket and clean toilets. I was on production line with the guys that leave pay packet to pay packet, and from all different works of life. I dealt with guys that were labourers, tradesmen, to managers of large automotive companies, government offices. And if you say to me, what's the best thing that I've taken with me, is that I can sort of relate and talk to anybody, because I've had interactions with all different types of people in my life.
So we got to know you both a little bit. We understand more about the relationship that you have and how you work together. The last thing I want to do is just talk a little bit about how we've been working together over the last 12 months. So Rock, what was going on in your business before we started working together? Like, what was happening before you pulled the trigger?
We were very busy and we were getting pulled by in every direction, I'd definitely say. And yeah, probably couldn't keep up with everything, to be honest. So it was organised chaos.
Yeah, it was.
If we want to put it into words.
Okay. And Andrew, what did you think when you became familiar with what I do and how I work with clients? Because I think I had the conversation with Rock first, and then you came into the conversation. What were your thoughts about it all?
Look, I was supportive straight away for the fact that Rock and I talked a lot, and we would have ideas, and we would always want to know if it was right or wrong. So it was good that we were going to be able to have somebody to be there, keep us accountable to say, did you actually do this, or run an idea by? So I was actually excited for that.
And I love telling people when they're wrong. So it's like the perfect relationship. So Rock, it didn't take you long to decide to move forward, but did you have any sort of hesitations maybe that you thought, oh, I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do? Any doubts before we got started?
No. Since the first time, I guess we spoke, I knew instantaneously, like you would have seen how I would have responded to you anyway, that you would have probably had a gut feel that I was coming on board. But that's how I am. I go with my gut. So I've always got a gut feeling about something, and know that it was the right move to engage you and get involved with CRM.
Right. Yeah, thank you. I've been working with a couple of your colleagues in Melbourne, other franchise owners. Hopefully that helped. But there is also, I guess, that gut feeling, which is important, and you've got to know that you can work with the person and that it feels right. It's been a year now. How's the process been for you both?
No, I think like Andrew, or should I call you Andrew? Bozza touched on. Look, I think it's been definitely a breath of fresh air, and to use you as a sounding board, more to sort of, I guess, for me initially it was all about, am I guiding the business in the right direction? And that's how I can probably put it perfectly, is just having our conversations and discussions and throwing ideas back and forth and leaning on you for advice as well, almost like a business partner. Yeah. But at the same time, I think just reaffirming and having that accountability, it's been a breath of fresh air. It's helped say, hey, we are on the right track. We are doing things right, because there's been a lot of things that I think we've told you that we've done or we're doing, where you've definitely highlighted certain aspects of things that we do or how we do things, and then just purely give us the reassurance and guidance that we are on the right track, and guys, yep, that is the right way to do, or try this or try that. So I think that's been a huge help for us, because I think as a business owner, especially when it is new, it's still new regardless. I've had the business for 10 years, whatever it is. Just hearing it from someone else that's outside the organization, that's giving you constructive criticism and feedback, whether you're right or wrong, or to assist on that level, I think is important. So that's how it's definitely helped me in the last 12 months know that what we've been doing and where we need to improve on, and where consistency needs to lie,
what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
So
any surprises, anything that you maybe didn't expect?
What are we thinking now?
I think the biggest surprise was us knowing internally about certain things, especially around staffing and how we do things and how we approach things. But there was some raw truths as well that came out to say, there was light bulb moments saying we knew this, maybe we weren't, So it was surprising, the fact that he brought things to the surface that maybe were simmering in the background, and we acted on it. And that's what was the most important thing for us. It said we would come out of a meeting and say, yeah, we've always known this. We have to do something about it. It's time to do it and implement it. Yeah. And like we're close and we're mates, and it goes back to the beginning. But we're different in the way we approach things and do things as well, right? And it's true. Like, you know me, I take feedback on really great, right? But we're both very different in our approaches. We're very different in different strengths in different areas, and weaknesses in other areas, when that's how we complement each other, right? But one thing for me is when I come into one of our sessions, and we've probably been talking about things for about a month, and we've both got different opinions, we say it freely and openly, and there's somebody there to see merit in one's, merit in the other, and sort of say, no, Rock's right, Boz, but no, Boz is right in this one. Maybe you guys should look at it this way. And it sort of brought things to a head and got us into a position to say, you know what, we're comfortable to make this decision and move forward.
Yeah.
One of the questions I like to ask clients in these interviews is just maybe one word that you could use to describe the process of working together. So I'll give you a moment to think of what that word is. It's the first word that came to your mind. And now that it's there, hopefully, I'm going to ask Rock. What's the word, Rock?
You don't want the first word.
It's the second word. The word that is.
Oh, when we were on the phone this morning.
5:45.
Yeah, about that. Anyway, go, Rock, you first.
You go first. One word.
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction. Okay. Yep. It could even be a not too flattering word, Rock. It's all good.
I'm not good with the one worders, Darren.
Yeah, not mine, but
okay. All right. I will park that.
Satisfied. Excuse the language, with the shits, without the shits, grumpy Boz, happy Boz. You know what the other Boz is, right?
You don't want to hear it.
Yeah, you don't want to. Can't say that word. I can't. Everything we do, and once we hit a target and hit it, everything we do is just satisfying. Even if we just have a conversation about where we're going.
I'll say motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that. And I've gone through 186 episodes without dropping an F or a C bomb. So yeah, I'm really pleased that that record remains. All right. So where do we see this going? What do you think is the next stage of growth in your business that, working with somebody like me can help you achieve?
I think it's more about continuing on that right direction, but, which may change. Ultimately, getting it done the right way, and I think in a timely fashion. That's what we attribute. That's why you're there, I guess.
Yep.
At the end of the day, like if you don't know where you're walking and the path, you probably shouldn't be trying it in the first place. So I think we bring that to the table, but at the same time, I think you definitely clarify and push which that excites me every time that, and that's what I see, I guess, where you definitely come into play for what we require anyway. I think we all know what we're doing in our own respective fields, but having that, I guess, direction and clarity is extremely important. Without that, you won't move as quickly as you can organically. It's not about just wanting to double overnight, but yeah, making sure that it's done the right way and enjoying it along the way as well.
Yeah, I know you guys are really making a mark in the market in Sydney. So I know there'll be other commercial real estate principals who are curious about sort of what you're doing and listening to this interview. So I guess my final question for you is, what's your advice to them? And obviously, I know, Rock, you don't want to give the competition a leg up at all. But like, what would be your advice for them when it comes to like doing this sort of work and spending some time to work on your business?
I think it's essential. I definitely think it's essential. I don't think as business owners we do it enough, because the focal point is the noise that's around you. And I think that's probably to everyone's detriment. So you need your own space to ensure, you're doing right by you and your staff, and that you're heading in the right direction, and that the environment that you're doing that within also echoes that it's a good place to work, and they want to work for you and with you. But ultimately, it's keep it simple, work hard, and put the same effort into your business as you do trying to grab the biggest listing that you've ever grabbed for sale, for instance. So I'm sure that anyone that takes that approach will do it with care and will do right by themselves, which in turn will be reciprocated around them. So if that, yeah.
Beautifully put, mate. Beautiful. Boz, any words of wisdom to wrap us up?
Oh, look, I think we're in a transactional industry. So, real estate agents become real estate principals, and they've always been transactional, and it's always about the next deal, getting the next deal to get paid, right? At some certain point, you're going to have to say, well, I have to step back from being a real estate agent and I have to be a business owner. And I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of people. And that's where, if you don't do that, you will not grow. You'll be doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that leads to madness. You need somebody to be there to help you develop a plan, implement a plan, and execute that plan. You can't just go out there and get listings. It's great, but there is a business, and a business evolves, and it needs to grow, and it needs to have things in place to do so.
I just thought of a great title for this episode based on your last answer there, which is From Transactions to Transformation. What do you think of that?
That's what it is. It goes back to engineering, yeah? We've got processes and always doing it better and always being able to improve.
That I wrote down problems, processes, and continuous improvement. So you've been the fountain of wisdom, as is always the case when we get together. So I appreciate it.
There's a poster in our office that says no such things as problems, there's only solutions.
Excellent. I love it. Guys, it's been really fantastic. You know, I love working with you too. You're great value. Appreciate Rock getting on his crutches and walking across the SCG car park a couple of months ago to come and watch the Blues with me lose to the Swans. Really appreciate you coming on today and taking the moment to speak to our audience. And I really appreciate you being here on Commercial Real Estate Leadership. So thank you.
Pleasure.
Mate, anytime.